Record. Okay. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Small Streamer Diaries podcast. Thank you so much for being here. This is episode number 23. So we made it past 20 episodes. So I heard this stat on Twitter, and since it was on Twitter, it had to be true, right? I heard that like 90% of podcasts don't get past episode 15, and we are on episode 23. So great accomplishment here. And today with me, I have my friend Huggable Hipster, amazing, beautiful, talented content creator, also known as Arielle. Arielle, thank you so much for being here. How are you doing?
I am doing excellent. Thank you so much for asking me to be on the podcast. I really appreciate it.
And thank you for being here. So, Arielle, since this is your first time on the podcast, would you do a little intro of yourself?
Okay, so insert 80s theme music here. No, I'm just joking. So I am Arielle. That's my real name. Not my birth name was Huggable Hipster. I wish my parents would have me that. That would have been so interesting to try to justify. So I am a gaming journalist, but I also do YouTube as well, which you don't really see the two typically married together a lot of the time. I have a Bachelor of Arts in Psychology. I am a video editor. I do freelance work with that. And in my free time, I do music production.
Nice. So I did not know that you were a psych major. I was a sociology major, so it's sort of similar. I mean, I had to take a lot of psych classes, so there's another thing we have in common. Okay, so I wanted to touch on something that you said, but later, because it's very interesting that you said that you do YouTube and gaming journalism and they don't really like usually go together, which I want to ask you about that later because I wasn't aware of that, and that's very interesting. Okay, but another thought for later. So just to give context of how I met Arielle, we met through a mutual friend, Viper. So Viper is he is the head of media for vidIQ. So if you know vidIQ, they're like a huge channel on YouTube that helps people grow their channels. They have a lot of free information. They also like run their own business doing like paid coaching and like AI tools and things like that. They're just really awesome. Like they provide so much free information. And Viper was always on, the Instagram, Twitter, all the social media. He runs all that. So actually, funny story, I didn't know who I was talking to on Twitter when I first started like looking at vidIQ and like started following all their socials and stuff. I just knew, it was obviously somebody that worked for vidIQ. I didn't know it was Viper. And then one day I was on their live stream. They do a live stream every week doing channel audits. So they take channels and they look at your channel and they critique your channel. They give you constructive criticism. They're always very kind about it. But in one of these live streams, Viper mentioned that he was the one like responding to people on Twitter. And I was like, oh, that's who I've been talking to. So I went and followed like his own personal Twitter. And then I just started like commenting on a lot of like his tweets and stuff. We became friends. And every once in a while, he does what he calls ladies' night streams. So he usually streams on Friday nights. Then every once in a while, he does a ladies' night where he pulls in a lot of his friends that are women content creators. And me and Arielle appeared on one of these ladies' night streams, and that's how we met. Yeah. So if you don't know Viper or vidIQ, you should check them out as well. Viper is awesome. He's a good friend of us both. So Viper, thank you so much for bringing us together.
Yeah.
If you're listening to this. Okay, so the topic for today's episode is, are YouTube partner requirements too high? Because this is something that I hear a lot of people say. They like immediately when they hear YouTube's requirements, they are just like gone out the door. So Arielle became a YouTube partner recently. So congratulations. First of all, congratulations.
Congratulations to you as well. You just got partner too, lady.
Yeah. Oh, thank you so much. You're like the real partner though. I'm like the fake partner.
There is no such thing as fake partner. Let's just stop that right now. Okay.
Okay, so we're gonna go into that later. But so this is something I hear a lot, right? Like, because I went from Twitch to YouTube, and I got a lot of questions about that. People were like, "What? Why would you do that?" Like, first of all, people don't think YouTube is the place for streaming, and then on top of that, they're like, "But YouTube's so hard. Like, the partner requirements are so hard. They're so much harder compared to Twitch." And so I was like, okay, I would like to, talk to somebody who recently became a partner and see what they thought. So so Arielle, you don't normally stream, right? Like you do it a few times, but mostly your content is like pre-recorded, edited
Yeah,
videos.
that's what it normally is. I actually made the consistent thing in my schedule to live stream every Saturday now at 8 a.m.
Okay.
So yeah, it's going to be a consistent thing in my schedule, more or less.
Yeah.
You know, are there things that YouTube can do to make the live streaming service better and more kind of like what Twitch is in terms of like tools for moderators? Absolutely. But you know, for people to say like it's not a streaming platform, I mean, you have YouTube Premium, basically what a streaming platform is. If you have TV on there, you can stream it.
Yeah. Yeah, and I actually think it's better to like get on a platform now before they do all the stuff that people want, and then once they do all the stuff people want, then everyone's going to come over.
Yeah.
So I actually think it's a better option to. Okay, well that's a thought for another day. Okay, so my first question for you is, how long did it take for you to get partner?
7 years.
7 years. Okay, and what did you find harder to get, subscribers or watch time?
Probably watch time because I was focusing in all the wrong places content wise. Because when there was a kind of a breaking point of where I realized, is this just going to be a hobby or am I going to actually make it into a full fledged business? And it was August of last year actually that I started doing videos more full time because I realized that I do want this to be my full time job. And I wasn't really, even though I was taking it seriously, I wasn't taking it as seriously as I could have been. So, because of my friend Roberto Blake, who a lot of you might know, he was the one who inspired me through him doing every day he did a video in August last year. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. I thought, okay, I have an idea. I'm going to do a video every single day, see what happens. And YouTube, I love YouTube, but they prioritize quantity over quality a lot. So I was able to pump up a video that I loved every single day. And that's what made the watch time and oddly enough, the creativity flow back for me. So I ended up from August to August doing videos every single day with like breaks in between, give or take. So that's what officially got me to partner. But the subscribers were a lot easier to get. I got over in a year over 1,000 subscribers.
Okay, so why do you think it was harder to get watch time over subscribers?
Because I wasn't niching within a niche and I wasn't niching down sufficiently enough because a lot of my content now revolves around Soulsborne stuff and game reviews. And I wasn't doing that before. I was doing gameplay here, I was doing a review here and there, I was doing like little bits and things. I wasn't really as focused as I could have been.
Okay, so what do you mean by niche within a niche?
So you have your niche where let's say it's Soulsborne content, you know, Dark Souls, Bloodborne, all that. And then you have to niche down and find something within that that also helps people out. So let's say my Soulsborne Academy videos, that's like niching within a niche. So you find that main thing and then you go deeper within that niche to find what might help creatively people out. Because when you're doing this, you always want to keep in mind what serves other people first and keep doing that while it's in the realm of what you're passionate about.
Okay, so you can just be like, yeah, I'm a gaming channel. You have to be,
No, no.
be more specific
No,
than
yeah, no, just imagine if someone said that, hey, I'm a gaming channel, subscriber one.
that. Yeah.
So, yeah, no. You have to really focus in and really hone in on what you're passionate about and where you're talented in where you can help people out because people always need help in something with gaming. You just have to figure out where it is.
Yeah. Yeah. And I would say also, to add on to that, you don't have to like have everything figured out right away, right? Like you can like figure it out as you go along. Like you don't have to find your niche within a niche like right when you start a channel, like 0 subscribers, like brand new channel. You don't have to like, because I find a lot of people saying like, well, I don't know what kind of content I want to do, or I don't know what to make. I mean, that's okay. Like if you have a general idea, you can start with that. I mean, you could start with like, oh, I'm just a gaming channel. But then along the way, you can start, you'll like find ideas. You just have to try, like keep trying. So I mean, I never intended to start a podcast, but you know, here we are. So I just came along the way. Like
Yeah.
started as just I'm a gaming channel. I literally had no plans of doing any kind of edited content. Like I was just streaming. That's it. That's all I was doing. I was just
Oh, that's
streaming.
right. I remember that.
Yeah, I was just streaming, and I started on Twitch, so it was just streaming, and then I went to
Mhm.
YouTube, and then it was just streaming there, and then I started making shorts because I was like, okay, I need to make some other stuff. I can't just stream. Started making some shorts. Started thinking like YouTube really like forces you to be creative.
It does, really.
It really does. So, and then
Yeah.
like once you start making content, like you'll just content like breeds content. Like you'll just keep thinking of ideas.
Yeah, and that's where I came up with the series that I did playing this for the first time. Like through that, I gained so many people who were just like, "Well, you've never played this before," and I think that's really cool and the shock value of it too, because in it that you're experiencing a game for the first time, you're also telling people, "Hey, I'm not that well versed in this, but come on this journey and let's be well versed in it together."
Yeah. Yeah, and me personally, like I love talking about games with people that I've already played. So even if I know like everything about the game, I like to see what other people think of it, or if they're going through it for the first time, I like to see what their reactions are to certain things. Like everybody's different, right? So like it's always very interesting to see somebody else's journey through a game that I already like. So
Oh,
there's
absolutely.
there's no such thing as like oversaturation. Like if even if you play a game that was released like 20 years ago, like somebody is going to think something different about it than you. So like you always want to be like thinking that way. Like you always want to be thinking like, okay, what kind of content can I create out of this? Okay, so
That's
all
actually
right.
what happened when I played Silent Hill 2 for the first time.
Oh really?
Because it unlocked this new love of horror games for
Oh
me, because
boy.
I tried it and it was on the HD collection that they came out with on Xbox, and I was so flabbergasted. It was my first experience with the games, and the whole new world just unlocked for me, and I was like, holy crap.
Yeah, like you never know what's going to happen. Like you just have to try all kinds of stuff. Like, I mean, if I never went on that ladies' night stream with Viper, if I never responded to that tweet from Viper saying like, "Hey, I'm gonna have a ladies' night stream," I would not be here with Arielle right now. Like you just never know what kind
Exactly.
of doors are gonna open for you. You just have to like try new stuff.
Yeah, and I wouldn't be here talking with you. And like, I really, honestly, I genuinely mean this. I have really amazing conversations with you. Like, we just vibe. So I
Oh, I
absolutely love that.
appreciate that. Thank you so
Of course.
much. I'm gonna have to clip that and put that in a short and see, be like, see, I'm awesome. Okay, so what was your first reaction when you found out what the YouTube requirements were? Were you like, oh my God, that's going to be impossible? Or were you like, okay, yeah, I can do that?
So, are you talking about the new ones that they put in place for the 1,000, for the now the 500 subscribers and the 3,000 watch time? Or are you talking about like overall in general?
Like the original requirements, like the 1,000 subscribers and
Oh, okay.
4,000 watch hours, or actually, let me ask you
Yeah.
this first: were those always there? Like when you started on YouTube, were those the requirements then too?
No. Oh my
They
gosh, no.
weren't.
Actually, I was a part of an MCM when I started YouTube.
What's that?
Like so a multi-channel network, and
Oh,
Ninja
okay.
was a part of the same multi-channel network that I was in. So it was fascinating to see where like this is actually an entire story, and I've told it on my channel before, but the long and short of it is that when I started YouTube, I started back April 5th of 2016. So I was about to graduate college from that point, and I was like, I need to do YouTube. I want to do something. I need to be able to just be inspired again, because I know this is something I want to do. The psych program at school was getting a little bit too political for my taste, and I didn't
Mhm.
want to just see people as a paycheck. I wanted to treat them as a human being, not a number. So that's why I didn't go into psychiatry or psychology, because I was like, as a profession, it was not feasible at the time. It was getting so political. But be that as it may, when I started looking for inspiration, I actually saw a video of Markiplier's come up in my recommended feed to call, what was it, Believe in Yourself. And through that, it gave me the metaphorical kick in the booty to just do what I need to do. And through that, after a few months, I was a part of this multi-channel network called Freedom Network. And I'm not under any NDA or anything like that, so I can freely say their name. They pay, my first payoff from them was 34 cents. And it's laughable now because my payout from YouTube come the 21st is going to be like, I think over $120. So it's fascinating to see like then and now. But when I look back on it, it's like that never existed. You just needed to have 10,000 views on your channel in order to qualify for partner.
Really? Okay, I did
Yeah.
not know that. So I only started content creation like 2 years ago, maybe.
Yeah.
So I have no idea what it was like. So,
Yeah,
okay,
for
wait. So let's take a step back here. So what is a
yeah.
multi-channel network? Because I never even heard of that.
A multi-channel network is basically a sin amongst content creation of where a multi-channel network will take a creator, this fresh little baby creator, and they'll say, oh, they're gullible. They don't know what's going on. They don't know anything about anything in the YouTube content creator. They just want to have, it's kind of like an agency, but it's not. They say that they're going to help you. They say that they're going to advertise you, but they do nothing because unless you bring in a significant amount of numbers like Ninja was back in like 2016, 17, 18 because of Fortnite, you're not going to get help at all whatsoever. And I was there. Basically, it's kind of comparable to a record label of where they'll have you there, but they won't let you work. And that's what was going on with multi-channel networks. You don't really hear about them anymore because a lot of them have died out because a lot of YouTubers realize they don't need them. It's kind of like an agent. Unless you are making like PewDiePie money, you do not need an agent at all. I'll say that right now for the YouTuber who's watching this who is at 100 subscribers, you don't need an agent to trust me. Okay. So with the multi-channel networks, it gets very, very tricky because some of them are good, don't get me wrong, because they actually do help, but some of them, they just give the YouTuber a name. They give the YouTuber a fake platform to stand on. That way they can just have street cred. That's it.
That is unfortunate.
Yeah. Yeah. And with the whole thing about YouTube only having 10,000 views, people can correct me down in the comment section if I'm wrong, because I will admit to being wrong if I'm wrong. But yeah, from what I remember is that you needed 10,000 views. And after the whole situation, if I remember correctly, with Logan Paul in the Gokigahara forest, they made it of where you needed to have 4K watch hours, 1,000 subscribers to qualify for partner. And not a lot of people were meeting those requirements because they're like, it's too difficult, it's too hard.
Okay.
And that's that's the long and short of it, or the long of it.
Yeah. Okay. So what did you think when they changed those requirements to 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 watch hours? What were your first thoughts on that?
At first, I thought I'm never going to get this because not enough people are going to be interested in my content. And that was back 2018. I think it was when they changed it. It was early 2018, but I could be mistaken. I did not think my content was going to reach people. I did not think that I was viable or worthy of that kind of watch hour because, I had a very self-deprecating mindset when I was in my early 20s. I thought, who's going to watch my stuff, But now looking back on it, it's like, I wish I would have pushed myself harder then because I would have been farther along than I am now. So it's always lessons that you have to learn. But at first I was sad about it. Then I think I finally really accepted the fact that I just have to grind my bones to dust for a while. And that's why it took me 7 years to get to partner.
Okay. So you kind of thought both. Like at first you were like, oh my God, this is impossible. But then after a while you're like, yeah, I can do this.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. So yeah, I hadn't even considered that possibility. I was just like, okay, she's going to answer with one or the other. I didn't even think like, oh, maybe it's both.
Bazinga.
Okay. So now that you're a partner, do you think the requirements are too difficult?
No, not at all. I feel like people are just lazy. That I mean, I know it's probably going to offend some people, but people are just lazy a lot of the time. I mean, there are real world stipulations of where if someone has a 9-to-5 job and they take care of their kids and they're a single parent, or even if they have both parents or whatever the case may be, there are things that make it more difficult. But if you want it, you're going to make it happen. That's the thing.
Yeah. So what do you think of the lowered partner requirements now, the 500 subs and the 3,000 watch hours? So that's the partnership I have right now. Yeah. So that's why I said I'm like the fake partner, but Arielle's like the real MVP here. She's the real partner. So she has the 1,000 subscribers 4,000 watch hours. I just have the 500 subs, 3,000 watch hours. So if
You're
for
still
anyone
an
that does,
MVP.
I appreciate that. But so for anyone that doesn't know, the lowered partner requirements, that just unlocks the fan funding options, but you don't get the ad revenue. You don't get that until you hit the full partner. But yeah, so anyway, so Arielle, what do you think of those lowered partner requirements? Do you think that was a good move by YouTube? Bad move?
I think it was a good move because it's better for streamers. I mean, that's what they even say, and I think it was their press kit that they released that. Excuse me, that this is going to be better for streamers in the long run. But I feel like they're giving people hope, and I feel like giving people hope isn't a bad thing in the long run because people still need to work for it. But it's just a lowered, I feel like more realistic amount. Not that 4K watch hours isn't realistic, but it sounds too grandiose for people, so they think it's unattainable. When in reality, it's not. It may take you a longer time. Like if it took me 7 years and I'm able to get it, then people who, honestly, like if you work hard enough at anything, you can achieve anything. But, I feel like these lowered numbers are still reasonable. They're still good.
Yeah. Yeah, I also okay, so I did not know YouTube had made a statement saying like that, this lowered partner requirements were aimed at streamers, but that is what it seemed to be because unlocking the fan funding options, like the fan funding stuff, like becoming a member and becoming a subscriber, things like that, the perks, that's very much like a live streaming like community thing because you just have much more of a personal connection when you're like talking to a live streamer because like you talk to them directly, like in real time, like they see your message and then they answer you like live on stream, so you feel more of like a personal connection to them, so you want to be like part of their community, you want to be like a member, you want to be like you want to get their perks or whatever it is, subscriber on Twitch. But I see a lot of people seeing these requirements, even these lowered requirements, and they're still like, oh, that's too hard, that's way too difficult, because affiliate on Twitch is like, it's so easy, like all you need is 50 followers and 3 average views, and you have to stream on like 7 different days, and that's so much easier for people to get, so that's all they go towards. But I actually think that it was, I mean, it took me longer than it took me to get affiliate, but because YouTube doesn't require, like, it doesn't depend on a live viewer number, it only depends on like your watch hours, like the same 5 people that support you could come into your YouTube stream every time and they would just add to your watch hours. But if the same 5 people came to your Twitch stream every time, I mean, they're not adding to like your live viewership. So it's not really, you're not really growing there, even though the same people are coming out to support you. So I like that YouTube like rewards the people that are continuously coming out to support you.
Yeah, it's a lot more balanced, I feel, because when you think about it, if you're watching someone as a creator, right? You're like, oh, I want to be able to be, if they're not thinking this consciously, if they're thinking this subconsciously of where I want to be fully immersed in what this creator is doing. I want to know everything about them. Sometimes on a more dangerous end, I want to have a parasocial relationship with them.
Yeah, we gotta be careful with that.
Yeah, exactly. And I feel like it's really cool that YouTube makes so many different ways for people to have that immersion. What worries me is that people are going to become complacent. And they got complacent with Twitch. They're going, I feel like if they lower it anymore, they're going to get complacent with YouTube. And I feel like this probably sounds so old school to say, but I feel like if people don't get that sense of like that rush of working really hard for something and getting the thing that they worked hard for, then what's the point?
Yeah. No, I agree. I think that if you don't, I mean, if you don't really work hard at something, like you're not going to get anything out of it, right? So like I it took me like maybe a couple of weeks to get affiliate on Twitch. It could have taken me just like the week, like the 7 days, but I just didn't stream every day. But then in like, I mean, in 2 weeks, like nobody really gets to know you in 2 weeks. Like all those people that found me on Twitch, and everyone's like, oh my God, you're an affiliate. Congratulations. Yay. And I like felt so awesome. And I'm like, yes, I made affiliate. That was after 2 weeks. Like that was like nothing. Like looking back on that, I'm like, that was like nothing. It took me almost almost 2 years to get YouTube partner. And that's not even like the full partnership, but like the people that have been following me for like 2 years now on YouTube, almost 2 years now, they're so much more invested in my channel and my journey. Like nobody knew me after 2 weeks, but after 2 years, like the reaction after 2 years is so much bigger than the reaction after 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So looking back
Because
on
people
that,
get invested in your content. They want to
yeah,
know you. They want to know your content and who you are as a person. And that's the most genuine thing ever. 2 weeks, I can barely process my lunch. Like, why?
right.
Why would they do? Like, oh god, I have so much to say, but that would take an entire podcast.
We could do a whole another episode on that completely.
Honestly, I think I might need to.
So, I mean, when I was on Twitch and I made affiliate, I had people subscribing right away, right? But they weren't really like that invested. They just subscribed just so they could be like, oh yeah, you're an affiliate now. And then, they'd never subscribe again. I mean, I just got my membership, so I don't know how long people are going to become a member for, but I didn't think like I had, a few, at least a few people, not like hundreds of people, but I had like a few people, come in and like become members right away. So their reaction was like just so much bigger. And I just felt like so much more accomplished with the things that I've learned, because you really don't learn anything in like 2 weeks.
No. No, not at all.
And YouTube like really like pushed me to be more creative, and I had to really, like learn stuff. I had to learn about thumbnails, titles, the algorithm. I mean, there's just so much stuff to learn on YouTube.
That's what uploading every single day did for me. It pushed me to be more creative with my content, because you have to figure out what you're going to do for content every single day. And originally I did do uploads twice a day, every day for a year when I started doing YouTube. And that burned me out entirely. But
I bet.
A 2 video, I don't do it, kids. Don't do it. It's not good for your health. It's not good for your mental overall awareness, because you become so chronically online that it's toxic for yourself. But the bottom line is that if you do videos every single day, you better have a damn good sense of yourself and the people around you, because sorry about that. That was a motorcycle outside.
Yeah, I heard that.
And you got to understand yourself, your personal life, your, balance. You got to be okay with not having a social life. That is the biggest thing I learned with uploading videos every single day. It's just, social life is non-existent at that point.
Yeah. Yeah, I find the same thing with streamers too. They're like, oh, I can't go out because I have to stream. But I like on YouTube that you can just like upload something, like, once you're done with something, you can upload it and you can just let it grow. And then you can go out with your friends and, do whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
But then next day you're going to be back at it.
Yeah, but that involves me going out with people. Not so sure about that though. I'd rather just stay at home and read.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So, and then to add on to what Arielle said, like, yeah, you have to continuously think of content, and you really have to like push yourself. Like when I started the podcast, I was really, and well, I still do it. Like even asking you, Arielle, even though like, you're very nice and I always appreciate talking to you and everything, but it's so difficult for me to like reach out to people and like ask them to give up their time for me,
But I understand that.
Yeah.
I totally get that though.
But then, in the end, you're like, well, I think this would be really good content. Like I thought of this really good idea, like for this episode. Are YouTube requirements too high? And I don't want to sound creepy or anything, but I thought about asking you to do this episode for like weeks. And I was just like, it was so hard, because I'm just like, I don't want to take up anybody's time. Like I'm asking people to like give you, like, you could be working on some other content right now, but instead, you're spending it here with me on my podcast. And so it's very difficult for me to like, ask people. But, in the end, if you have a really great idea for content, you find a way to do that. So I was like, you should have seen me like typing my message to you. I was like so nervous. I was like, Arielle, could you please do this podcast with me?
This is exactly how I felt when I invited Fighting Cowboy to do the podcast with me. Okay,
Yeah.
I was nervous. I brought, if he's watching this right now, hey, dude, I was actually nervous. It was so much fun, and it was so worth it. The reception from it was absolutely amazing. So I understand that kind of trepidation in wanting to message someone but not wanting to be like
Mm.
interrupting them or anything. I still get that anxiety with everything, so it's totally understandable.
Yeah. But I mean, you might be surprised when you do ask. And like I just thought this was like such a good podcast episode idea because I was like, I hear so many people going, "Nope, YouTube is too hard. I'm out," and they're just like gone immediately, like out the door, won't even touch YouTube. So I'm like, you know what? I gotta get somebody on here who's tells me what they really think about if YouTube requirements are too high. Maybe this will help some people think about it some more.
You know what I say in response to all those people in a very loving way,
Oh boy.
not in a troll way at all. Get good. Sorry.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, honestly, this it's the only way. It's literally the only way is to do it and be bad at first and like slowly get better.
Listen, if this helps anyone, I will tell this story. God, I can't
Go
believe
for
I'm
it.
saying this. I I started doing makeup at first on my YouTube channel. Makeup
Really?
combined with gaming. I started to do look. You can't find them anymore, so stop. Don't try it. And I started doing makeup looks combined with like gaming motifs. So like what the color of the game package was, for example, I would try to do makeup looks with that. I would try to be silly. I would try to do that. It didn't work. It was such a bad idea. But that's what you do. You suck at first at something, and then you grow and you mature and you understand where your niche within a niche is, so you can thrive on the platform.
Yeah, and I think, with Twitch, it's such a it's such an easy barrier to entry. Like you just hit go live, you stream for a few hours and then go off and you like don't do anything else. And then YouTube really like you have to have a title. I mean, you have to have a stream title on Twitch too, but after you go offline, like it doesn't matter. Nobody's going to be looking at anything offline on Twitch. So YouTube, like you have to have a thumbnail. That's a lot of people's pain point, or not pain point, weak point maybe is what I'm trying to, people, a lot of people aren't good at thumbnails is what I was trying to say. So
Yeah.
thumbnails, titles, the algorithm, just like thinking of ideas to make content. Like you don't have to do any of that stuff on Twitch. And so really the only way is to like get good.
Yeah, I mean, like, I kind of somewhat disagree with that because there are certain streamers who do like put a lot of work into what they do, like with who do it for a living, obviously, because the streamers, unfortunately, who don't have the financial means to do it for a living won't have as many things and resources at their fingertips. And that's an unfortunate thing. But with streamers who I even know personally who have been doing this full time on Twitch and they don't go over to YouTube, they are like, some of them are DJs and they do it full time and they're absolutely incredible what they do. Some of them are, they stream retro games and they do that full time and it's a lot of work for them to do. So it really just depends, I think, in my opinion at least, it on the streamer, and how dedicated they are to their craft, because it doesn't matter the platform, you're still bringing you with you everywhere you go.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, like a lot of people will put a lot of effort into their like alerts and sound alerts and channel rewards. A lot of streamers do depend on that. That's true. That's a good point. But for the like majority of people that I see, they don't really do that stuff. They just kind of like go live and then that's it.
Yeah, I see
But
that too.
that is a really good point. All right. So my next question is, because we haven't had a question in a while, I feel like we kind of talked. Okay, so do you think YouTube should be making any changes to the partner requirements?
No, I think they should let it breathe for a little bit, at least for a year or so, because this was a big change that they implemented, and I feel as if they change anything else, they'll be seen as kind of flip flopping, and you don't, as a company, you don't want to flip flop too much because then you can be seen as giving in to too many consumer demands, and you need to be able to, stand strong on your feet and understand that, like, well, we have to let some things breathe. We have to just be not complacent, but be comfortable with where we are as a company for at least a little bit, and then move on to like quarterly things and little updates here and there, like more mod privileges, more accessibility when it comes to comments in the in the community section, because I would love to start seeing pinned like statuses on the community section. I would love that to be an update, because if I'm reviewing, let's say, 4 games in this quarter, I want to be able to have like a pinned thing at the top of my community section that says, hey, these are the things that I'm doing. And that I think that would be so cool to have.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, like a pinned tweet.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, that would be really cool. I hadn't thought of that, but yeah, I'm surprised they haven't implemented that yet.
YouTube, if you're watching, do it.
YouTube. YouTube, get on it. Okay, so does that mean that you think that YouTube partner requirements will change in the future?
Not at all. Not at all. Not at least for like the next year and a half. If people start complaining, they'll start to change. That's the only way they're going to start changing, is if people start complaining.
Yeah. Well, people are already complaining, so.
Of course they are.
Yeah.
Most of it is on Twitter. Notice that, because not anywhere else do you see people complaining. It's only Twitter. It's only that small little troll section of Twitter that thinks I can get away with anything.
Yeah. Okay, so we kind of touched on this earlier, but I'm gonna ask it anyway. Why do you think people think the requirements for partner are too hard on YouTube?
Because they want to be able to be with the top dogs in an easier way. Like, they want to be able to say, oh, I know Casey Neistat, or I'm the same as this person. No, you got to work for it. Like, that's the thing. Like, people want to be able to be the top dog without the work.
Mm-hmm.
And there's no way. There's absolutely no way. Like, you can't give someone, for example, a full setup and ask them to know how to use it, who would, like, okay, this is gonna sound kind of like weird, because it's gonna be like a mishmash, so bear with me. It makes sense up here. That's what matters. Okay. So let's say you give someone like a really high-end PC, and they say, I want to be the top dog. I want to be able to do everything. I want to know everything, and put them in a room with like a massive streaming setup, everything they absolutely need, and say, okay, go for it. They're not going to know what to do with it, because they never had practice with it. They never grew gradually to understand the technology, to understand the gear, understand everything. Having everything all at once is not a good thing, because it doesn't allow for growth. And you need growth when you're in this industry, or else you're going to crash massively.
That is, I'm gonna turn that quote into a clip. That was a really good quote.
Okay, good. Yay.
Okay, I was gonna say something, but I forgot, because that quote was just like so good that I forgot what I was gonna say. Okay, no, now I remember. Okay, so now I remember. Okay, so that reminds me of a tweet I saw one time that said, like, nobody wants to, or no, everybody wants to stream to thousands of people, but no one wants to stream to 0 viewers. Everybody wants everybody wants 1 million subscribers, but no one wants 0 subscribers.
Everyone starts at 0.
Yeah, and I mean, what you said reminded me of that tweet, because it was saying like everybody wants to be like a top content creator, but they don't want to do any of the work.
Yeah. Oh no, it took me 5 different setups, 7 years, multiple emotional breakdowns in order to get to this point. Because the thing is that, and I'm gonna be real, because that's, I've always been transparent across the board with my YouTube journey, always. And the amount of hate that I personally get almost on a daily basis just for being in this arena of gaming. Like, there was one tweet that I put out about Far Cry 6, about how I said that it was one of the best stories I've ever seen, in my opinion. And the amount of people who were just like, you probably have never played games before if you think that's one of the best stories. It was a lot. It was a lot. And it's one of those things of where people need to understand that this comes with this industry. It's worse for women. And I know a lot of people are going to say, no, it's not. It's everything's equal. It's like, unfortunately, no, it's not. men get a different kind of hate than women do in this industry, hands down. And it's I think it's just absolutely ridiculous that we've come to this point of where in the tweet that I was in, like trying to explain what was going on, I was being gaslit to make me feel like it was not happening what I experienced.
Oh my God, I'm so sorry.
And no, and it's okay because like people, unfortunately, if you're going to be in this industry, you have to get used to it. And I'm so sorry to be the one to tell people that because you're not supposed to get used to being slammed and borderline doxxed for an opinion that you have, let's say, on Fallout 3. Because that was my first review that I put out that I felt the weight of my opinion. I felt the weight of what I had to say. And I didn't give it a glowing review, and people didn't like that. I got borderline doxxed and death threats.
Oh my God.
So yeah, and that was back in 2019. That was literally the start of everything shifting and everything growing. And with growth and with success will come a lot of hate. And it's just a fact of what the business that we're in. The bigger you grow and the bigger you get, and I don't care how small you are of a YouTuber who's listening to this, the bigger you grow and the bigger you get, the more hate you will get from people because they are jealous.
Yeah, and I think people don't really realize until it happens to you, you don't really realize like how much like a comment on the internet is going to affect you. Like it hurts you a lot, but like people are always like, "Oh, they're just stupid people on the internet, just ignore them." But then when it like happens to you, like it hurts you. You don't really, and then you just don't know what it's like until like it actually happens to you, and then you get upset, and it's really hard to just go, oh, it's just dumb people on the internet.
Yeah, exactly. And there does come a point of where time and experience with the beast, in a sense, will give you more of a lease on life to understand that these people, they are not on your journey, so they are, their opinions don't necessarily have weight to them. If someone is giving you constructive criticism, that's something else entirely. That's completely warranted. But if someone is just hating on you for the sake of hating on you, then it's pointless.
Yeah. Yeah, and we might have to do another episode on the different comments that men and women get, because
Yeah.
I agree. I mean, I had a short, and it was of Final Fantasy 16, and
Nice.
Clive, like I had Clive like whistle for his chocobo, and it sounded like a cat call. Like, and so I like posted this short, and I was like, okay, this sound, I said in the short, like, oh, this sounds like a cat call. And then I think my caption was like, I'm calling for my chocobo, I'm not hitting on it. And okay, if I go in my comments right now and look at them, like one of them was just like, women. And it had like one of the like skull and crossbones emojis.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, because they don't understand that we get catcalled literally every time we go outside
Yeah.
the house.
Yeah. I'm going to read you the comments. First comment: is it possible that a catcall whistle originated from men imitating bird whistles? No, not at all. Okay.
Oh
And then I got an entire lecture that started with, okay, sounds like you don't know the context of certain sounds. This was a huge comment. I'm not going to read it all, but I'm going to read like some of it. The chocobo whistle is meant to resemble its natural sound in universe explanation, but you assume it to sound like a cat call. I didn't assume anything. I just said it sounded like a cat, like just the way he whistled sounded like a cat call. That's all I said. It's a deviation on a whistle that literally means beautiful, gorgeous. This whistle historically meant to serve as a compliment. Okay, this comment goes on for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 paragraphs.
These people have time to waste. Their brains are just like, oh, this sounds good. Send. No filter.
And then
whatsoever.
I got a comment that just said women.
No comments.
And then I also got a comment that said, oh, in my time, we called this whistle "You're Beautiful," but now you guys are making it sound like a slur.
Technically, it kind of is. For as long as I'm 30 years old. So as long as I've been alive, it has been a slur to, kind of degrade women.
Yeah. I mean, it's demeaning. It's like meant as a demeaning, like thing.
it's like how, like there was a perfect thing. Like there was a comedian that did kind of a joke on catcalling. And how would a guy feel if I whistled at them and said, "Hey, pay my tax returns, buddy boo"? Like I don't think they would like it that much, you know. I don't
Yeah.
think men would like it if we started whistling at them or degrading them in any way. So I feel that, you know, the tables can turn, but we don't want them to because we're being nice.
Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, the point of all that was that we do get different comments, and I think it is harder to get respected as a woman in content creation, especially in gaming. I mean, like people are always like, "Oh, well, pretty girls will automatically get more views and more subs and follows and all that stuff." And I think like maybe they would I think they would get more, I mean, not necessarily, but I think maybe they would get more clicks, but it's harder for them to gain respect.
Yeah, it's just like it's not even just about respect. It's about the fact that like it it's difficult all around for women to be respected because it's just the fact that like men don't expect them to be in the space. Some men, you know, they don't expect them to be in the space. So they get all flustered and like they search for their words and it becomes a cluster F.
Yeah, I think we might have to do like a whole other episode on this. It feels like we have a
Yeah.
lot to say.
Yeah.
Okay, but yeah, like comments on the internet, like yeah, that's gonna come with being a content creator, and I just feel like people don't really get how difficult it is unless they've actually experienced it. Because I know a lot of these top content creators talk about like how they're insulted all the time, and like Amaranth was saying that she like as soon as she hits go live, she gets like 1,000 comments in her chat insulting her, and
Yeah.
she's like, you know, I basically get insulted for a living. And then there
Jeez.
was a clip posted of her saying this, and everyone was like, "Oh, why do you care? You make millions of dollars." And like, "Oh, but she's not gonna care." Like, "Oh, and like, what does that matter?" And all this stuff. And I'm like, "But you don't know what that's like. Like,
Yeah.
you try going live and have 1,000 comments of like at once coming at you in real
Yeah.
time, just like insulting you.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't feel good.
Painful.
It's not
It's
gonna feel
painful.
good. Yeah."
Yeah.
All right, so that's gonna have to be another whole nother episode, I think. Okay. All right. Next question is, what advice would you give to somebody who said, "No, YouTube partner requirements are too hard. I'm not even gonna try it."
I would say experiment and try posting content to see if you are genuinely cut out to do YouTube full time. Because with it comes with doing YouTube, you gain experience, and you can only knock it if you tried it.
So how would you know if you were cut out for it?
You would be able to handle the workload. You would be able to understand if you're passionate about it. You would be able to gather like what kind of content you want to do. There's so many different variables that go into understanding content creation and you as a content creator. It takes a long time to really like again niche down within a niche, understand the variables of content creation, understand SEO, metadata, all this kind of stuff. Understanding if you're passionate about it, that's the first thing. Like you're gonna know that right away. Like I knew it within my first video that I wanted to do that I wanted to do this forever.
So this reminds me of another thing that I hear a lot of people say. So I base my podcast episode topics based on like my experience with what I hear people saying, and then I like create a topic around that. So another thing that I hear a lot of people saying is something that you said reminded me of is a lot of the advice for creating stuff on YouTube is like find, you know, what you're passionate about and make content about that. But I see a lot of people who they want to be content creators, but then they're like, I'm not really passionate about anything.
Then don't do
What?
content. If you're not passionate about it, then find something you are passionate about. Because if you're not passionate about content, don't do the content.
So for somebody who's like, oh, I'm not passionate about anything, your
I
advice
would
to them would be like,
I
you
would
shouldn't be a content creator.
no, I would say get therapy. If you're not there, if you're not, and I say that with all respect and all understanding of people, like if you are not passionate about anything in life or in the sphere, understand where you are mentally and maybe seek help, because
Yeah.
that sounds like it's more of an internal mental thing than it is just to do with content type thing at that point, and that needs to be taken seriously.
Yeah. So, so when people say, okay, let me ask it a different way. So, what advice would you give to people who are like, I have no idea what kind of content I want to make?
Have them go to a mentor, particularly someone who does YouTube full time, and have them sit down and have a conversation with them, like Roberto Blake, because he really like lets people like understand where they are, like passion wise with like their projects or with what they want to do, because you could have something completely untapped that you had no idea that you even were passionate about, and it completely unlocks whenever you discuss it or whatever. You have to ask the person what they like, what are their interests, what are their hobbies, and you go from there.
So, how would you go about finding a YouTube mentor?
You would actually go into kind of like like not the hashtags, but like type into the search bar like YouTube, one word, or YouTube mentors online. There are different types of books, not necessarily self help books, but different texts that allow people to understand more or less where they are and how to guide them along the journey.
So,
So I never personally gone and searched for that myself. It just kind of like fell into my lap, so to speak. So I don't have any like substantial advice to give, but that's what I would say.
yeah. So, just type in kind of like how to grow your YouTube channel
Yeah,
or something
and
like that and find creators.
yeah, you get very generic advice at the beginning, but you have to keep researching and you have to keep going through the sieve in order to get to where it's really and truly meaningful.
Yeah, and yeah, you gotta start with the general advice, because when I mean, if you look at my old videos, like I didn't even have a thumbnail. I just let YouTube choose the thumbnail for me, so it's just like a screenshot of my stream, like just
Oh
like
wow.
this, like a camera, like and the game, like a random screenshot of the whatever game I was playing.
Mhm.
And then I started making thumbnails, but if you look at the old thumbnails I was making, like they were really bad. Like
Oh
you
gosh.
couldn't like read the text. You had no idea what the video was about. So you have to you have to slowly improve. Very
Exactly.
slowly.
And that only comes with experience and practice.
Yeah. Yeah, and to add on to what Arielle said, I would say like go search like how to grow my YouTube channel, or I don't know, like how to grow my channel, whatever. If you're a streamer, like how to grow my stream, and then find some like creators that you like. That's how I found vidIQ and Roberto. Like I just was looking up stuff. I started like completely alone. Like I had nobody to help me, and so I was just like Googling and YouTube searching all the time, like how to grow my channel. I found Roberto and vidIQ, and I started following all their socials and started like interacting with all their tweets and stuff. And
Yeah.
then through them, like that's how you can find other people. Like that's how, I never would have connected with Viper if I like hadn't found the vidIQ channel and the Twitter and then gone into the live streams and then found out it was Viper that was like replying back to me on the vidIQ Twitter account. And then I'm like, oh, okay, well, I really liked talking to him on the vidIQ account, so I'm going to go follow all his other socials. Started talking to him on his like personal Twitter. Like it's all these like steps that lead you
Exactly.
to these relationships. And then also that's how I found Arielle and followed Arielle on her personal Twitter, started commenting on her tweets, started sending her messages. Like it's
Yeah,
all
and
this
then
stuff
that's how
that
you
like
build
leads you.
friendships.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like starts from nothing and then you just kind of slowly, build up to it. Like I wasn't just like messaging Arielle right away. Like first we talked to each other on Viper's stream, and then we followed each other on Twitter,
Exactly.
and then
Yeah.
then we started commenting on each other's tweets, and then I wasn't immediately like, hey, you want to be on my podcast? Like I got to know her first. And
Yes, absolutely. Yes.
yeah, I mean you might have said yes if I asked you right away. Okay, so I am actually out of questions. That was my last question. So Arielle, do you have any other comments or questions or topics you'd like to bring up or discuss?
Uh, gosh, I have no idea. I mean, like, if you want to like discuss gaming journalism with me, like that's my forte. I'm ready to give some solid stuff about gaming journalism. I'm ready.
Ooh, okay. I'm gonna have to, yeah. We'll have to do like a whole other episode on that. But yeah, like back to the beginning of the recording when I was like, what's this about the YouTube and gaming journalism? Yeah, when you said doing YouTube and gaming journalism doesn't really go together, I hadn't heard that, or I wasn't aware of it at least. So why is that?
Yeah. So it doesn't typically go together. It's like one of those things of where like you don't expect like a dentist to also be a YouTuber, which that's actually a thing. You have,
Mm,
the dentist, which he's a,
yeah.
a famous, TikToker and YouTuber. I was actually talking about this with Gene Park on the podcast I released today with him of where, it's not a typical thing that you see of where like both YouTube and journalism are married because you have journalism and you think of it as one substructure and you think of it, as writing articles, writing exposés, writing op-eds, all these different pieces, but you don't necessarily think of a YouTuber as a journalist per se. You think of them more as like an entertainer, as someone who is there to make you laugh or to make you interested in something or to educate you on something. And I thought, well, why can't the two worlds just be married? Why can't you both be a journalism and a YouTuber creating content? That's why I do like both an article version and a video version for my reviews, because I feel like not only does it get more traction to the companies so they can hear the opinion, that way if it's viable, they can change what needs to be changed within a game, or they can just have a nice smile on their face that someone enjoyed their game. So
Yeah. Okay. Very interesting. I've it's just like not something I've ever thought about. Like when I look up reviews of games now, like there's always going to be a video on it, but then there's
exactly.
also going to be like an article with like whatever 7.5 out of 10 or
Yeah,
whatever.
exactly. And most people nowadays go to the video reviews more so than they do the article, which I think is very interesting.
Yeah. I agree. I think people don't really read very much anymore. It's more so they go to videos now to
Yeah.
get information. I mean, I do honestly. Like I used to read so much as a kid. I used to read books all the time. Like every time my aunt saw me, she'd be like, "Oh, what are you reading now, Rebecca?" And now I don't
Oh,
read at all. I don't read anything. Like I don't read books. I have no physical books. I just get my information from like my phone. Like I get
insert
information
me
from
going to Barnes and Noble literally almost every other week.
I think it's just I don't know. I feel like just with the amount of like videos and TikToks and shorts available to us, I think maybe people's attention spans have just gotten really short. And if they
Yeah.
see an article that's more than like a paragraph long, they're like, nope, like scroll,
Yeah,
go to the
exactly.
TikTok.
Which it kind of, not gonna lie, it makes me a tiny bit sad, but I know it's the reality of the way it's progressing digitally. So I mean, I can't entirely be mad at it, but I am going to fight tooth and nail to keep my books.
I don't think there's anything wrong with books. I just like don't read them anymore, I guess. I mean, well I do I don't know. Does reading on your phone count? Like I have like,
Yeah,
the
I mean that counts.
digital
It's not like a physical copy, but it
yeah.
counts.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean I have like I will actually I've only ever read like one digital book in the past like year, which was Roberta's book, but um
Oh, nice.
that was really good.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's a really good read.
I don't really read anymore. I just like if I need information, I just like go watch a video or
No,
a
I
TikTok or
understand that.
something.
I
But if
understand
I
that.
but also if I really wanted to read, like what about audiobooks? So do those count?
I mean, not technically if you're like talking about like legit like reading like with all the words and everything, but I mean, I love audiobooks because they give you the freedom to do other things while you are listening to it. But
Yeah.
for me, like I don't know, like my attention span, like I'm such a multitasker that if I'm reading something, I'm listening to a movie in the background. Like for example, I'm reading the first Game of Thrones book right now, and I was listening to The Devil Wears Prada in the background while I was reading. So it's one of those weird things of where like it depends on the person, but so many people just prefer audiobooks. And I get it, it's just ease of access. But then there are so many people, who like myself just enjoy reading, enjoy this is gonna sound so creepy, but enjoy the smell of the pages because it's amazing.
Yeah. And audiobooks do take out some of the imagination of it, like because the person narrating it is doing all the character voices and the tones
Yes.
for you. So you might hear it differently in your head reading it than an audiobook. So yeah, I guess it's not exactly the same.
Yeah, like when I read Lord of the Rings, for example, I thought, oh my God, this is great. You have, during breakfast, after breakfast, all these different things that you're imagining in your head. And I feel like if it was read to me, I would think of it in the narrator's tone that they're thinking. I wouldn't have thought of it in a different way, possibly.
Yeah. Okay, well, I think we are out of discussion things for this episode anyway. I feel like we came up with a whole bunch of other episode ideas during this episode. So we're gonna have to do those later. Okay, so Arielle, please plug yourself again. What do you have coming up? What do you want people to check out? What are you playing? All of those things.
Where's the outlet for me to plug my? I'm just joking. Sorry. So you guys can follow me on Instagram at Huggable Hipster Gaming. You guys can follow me on Twitter at Huggable Hipster, YouTube Huggable Hipster. I don't have anything else. I'm really like trying not to stay on too many apps. I'm on the Blue Sky app, but I only use that as like a backup plan.
Blue Sky? What's Blue Sky?
It's the new Twitter apparently, and just in case it like Twitter completely self-destructs, I'm moving entirely to Blue Sky. But yeah, you guys can find me on those. I have a Discord as well if anyone wants to join that. If you want, you can put the link in your thing and everything like that. But that's basically all my socials.
Okay, yes, please go check Arielle out. She's an awesome content creator. And I want to say that Arielle she does a really good job of keeping an open mind and like reading everybody's comments, even though we talked about like how much hate content creators get in the comments. But she tries really, really hard. And I've talked to her about this. She tries really hard to just keep an open mind and be kind to everybody, at least the first time. If they keep doing it, she's not going to give you another chance. But one thing I really admire about her is that she tries so hard to keep an open mind and like be the kindest person that she can be.
Aww.
So please go check. If you care about me at all, you will check Arielle out. All right, guys, thank you so much for watching and listening, because it goes up on Spotify too. Although it goes up as a video on Spotify, because I guess Spotify has video podcasts now. Yeah.
I did not know that.
Yeah. Like I didn't know that until I started playing a podcast on Spotify, and it just showed up as a video, and I was like, what is that?
That's actually pretty cool. It's
and
like
then
old school iTunes videos.
Yeah. I mean, that's basically just YouTube then. If it's if it's played as a video, then you're just basically playing my YouTube video on Spotify. But yeah, I just upload it like as a video, and it just like goes up as a video. So if people upload video files on Spotify as a podcast, it'll just play as a video.
Nice.
Okay, but you might not be watching this. You might just be listening to it. So I appreciate you listening and or watching. Arielle, thank you so much for being here. I really, really appreciate it. Please go check Arielle out. Please, please, please go check her out. I'll have all her links in the description below. And please leave us a comment with what you thought about anything that we discussed, because we talked about a lot of stuff. Let us know if you think the YouTube requirements are too damn high. All right, guys, thank you so much for listening. Arielle, again, thank you for being here. We'll see you in the next one. Bye.